A recent game for the Nintendo Switch has been selling better than expected, and it's a game called Biomutant. Now, Biomutant is a game that I remember releasing on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One back in 2021, but I never got around to playing it. But the Nintendo Switch release was kind of interesting to me because while those games are kind of a dime a dozen on those platforms, the Nintendo Switch doesn't really have many sort of open world action adventure RPGs. So THQ Nordic reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to take a sponsored look at the game, and I was like, yes, I do. I want to see what this game is all about. I want to see if I could find out why this game is selling, honestly better than expected. So if you're unfamiliar with what Biomutant is as far as a game, it's basically, like I said, an open world sort of post-apocalyptic kung fu style game with like all these different creatures and stuff, different landscapes, and a really sort of interesting story. Before we talk about the story, though, we have to talk about the character creation system because I think this is actually very, very well done. The character creation, at first, you're just kind of like, okay, it's just an aesthetic thing, but then you realize that it actually impacts how your character plays. You have different mutations that you can unlock, different skills that you could develop, and like you could randomly roll your attributes or you could kind of tailor suit them to your needs. So it kind of makes like doing a subsequent playthrough of the game interesting because you could change your abilities and change the way you sort of play the game. Now, the story of the game is basically centered around something called the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life in this world is essentially dying. And at the start of the game, you have a choice. Your choice is to either save the Tree of Life or destroy the Tree of Life. And once you pick that, you kind of go on a path of either what's considered good or evil. There's a meter in the game with different tasks that you do that will either be light or dark side as far as what your character is doing in the world to make the world sort of shaped in that realm. And it's interesting because the way the story plays out, there are things that happen within it that make you kind of question the path that you take. Like even if you take like what's considered to be the good path, like, okay, let's say the tree is dying, life is dying, you want to save the tree. Things will happen that will make you question your decision as to whether or not you made the right decision. And it leads to multiple different endings in the game, which I think is really cool because, everything sort of plays out in a unique way based on the style that you decide to play as. And honestly, like, I don't cry at video games. I didn't cry at this game, but there was one scene, it kind of made your boy a bit sad. Now, gameplay wise, it's really fun. Like, this is a really fun game. It's basically a blend of like martial arts combat, shooting mechanics, and mutant abilities. Now, the combat system is extremely fluid. It allows you to sort of mix and match your abilities to do various combos. And the way everything flows is very nice. Like, you'll have your weapons, your standard handheld weapons, your swords and stuff like that. And you could take out enemies at that, or you can you could shoot at enemies from a distance with a variety of guns, and you get these different abilities that you also unlock as you level up your character that allow you to do like kind of like your magic attacks and stuff like that. Like it's really fun, and it's very easy to sort of blend together like the shooting and the melee combat all into just one sort of system. Like there's actual button inputs that you press, almost kind of like a fighting game, in which you will do like a special move that maybe blends those two things together. I really, really enjoyed the gameplay in this game. There's also some puzzles that you have to solve as well, which, I mean, they're not the most interesting thing in the world. Like, you just kind of like arrange things in a certain way, and then if you don't do it, you get another chance to do it. Like, it's fine. They're optional things for the most part, these puzzles in the game. But like what I really liked about the game is the crafting system that you get in it as well, because as you're playing throughout this game, you end up picking up like random stuff off the ground and like off of enemies and stuff like that. Or you might find like an abandoned town and you go through and you look through things and you find different items. You could basically take these things and craft like different armors or make additions to your armor or craft different weapons. You could find hidden weapons in the game as well, which I think is awesome. Like it really makes it fun to kind of, go off the beaten path, because this is a big open world and there's lots of stuff that might not be on your main quest vision. Like it's not your targeted area to go to, but it catches your eye. So you end up going there, and then you get a bunch of side quests, which of course are optional, but it'll tell you like, oh, there's a legendary weapon here, there's something cool here. So if you want to seek that out, you can indeed seek that out. And there's even some story elements in the side quest of the game as well. Now, the different areas that you visit, there's the snowy mountains, there's deserts, there's places that, are poisoned and you have to have a certain armor in order to get there. Or you could use the traversal system in the game because you first start out on foot, but then you get a whole bunch of cool stuff like this big mech thing that you could just like fight people with. There's these weird goat creatures that you come across that you can tame and then use those. I remember I was walking around and I saw this big monster messing with this goat and he was about to kill the dude. And I was like, no, sir, I like the way this goat looks. I might want to make him my friend. So I ran up on the monster, shoot him away, and then I got to have that goat in my ensemble and I could ride him places. Like, it's very interesting how things just continually progress and you get the ability to do more things in the game the longer you play it. It's a really good gameplay loop and something that I just found to be like really fun, like the combat, the exploration, the traversal. It's all really well done. All right, so next up, we got to talk about the presentation of the game. And obviously, the Nintendo Switch, it's not as strong as the Xbox One. It's not as strong as the PlayStation 4. I believe that this game also got a patch for the current generation consoles of Xbox Series and PlayStation 5. So when you're talking about an open world style game running on the Switch, a game that's been ported over from other platforms, it's obviously not going to look as good as it does on there. But I think for a Nintendo Switch game, it honestly looks pretty good. Like the environments still look nice and varied. Yes, there's the occasional low resolution texture that you'll come across. Sometimes the ground can look a little bit low resolution. But to me, it feels like the frame rate was kind of prioritized more so than just raw graphics, which I 100% appreciate because when I'm playing the game, that's how the game feels. Like you look at the game, but if the game doesn't feel good when you're playing it, all the great graphics in the world don't really matter. Now, there is the occasional frame rate hiccup here and there, but for the most part, like, I was fine with this. Like, I think it looks pretty nice at times. It looks absolutely stunning as well. There's a photo mode that you can access if you want to take some pictures, I guess show your friends or something. The sound design of the game is really well done as well. There's a lot of voice acting. There's a narrator that sort of talks about the story. The characters all have their own dialogue in the game. And you don't know what they're saying. It just kind of sounds like, a bit of just whatever. But the narrator kind of explains everything that is being said and happening. A very nice, soothing voice. The evil side and the light side also have their own voices as well. It's a really decent, solid presentation package. Are there better looking games on the Switch? Like, yeah, but there's also a lot of worse looking games. But overall, I really enjoyed my time with this game. Like, I just find myself, I love these open world games that have like secrets in them, that have reasons to go off the beaten path. I love linear games, but I also like games that reward exploration, reward you for doing things like exploring so you get more materials to craft, or you come across a side quest or an abandoned town. And it seemed like every time I had this game figured out, it threw a new gameplay mechanic that just sort of expanded upon the game itself. And I think that's something very important with this. The replay value is extremely high on it as well. So I can kind of see why people are gravitating towards Biomutant, especially the Nintendo Switch version. Like, yeah, performance-wise, you're probably better off playing this game on something like a PlayStation or an Xbox. But considering that there's not many games in this style on the Nintendo Switch, it definitely sticks out in a very, very positive way. And I think this is the type of game that's going to be on Hidden Gems list in like 15 years from now. Metal Jesus will be sitting there talking about this game. Oh, Biomutant is a hidden gem. Like, I honestly feel like this game has that ability. It's super fun. It's super satisfying. The combat is fun. And just the character customization and really just how you have different ways to play through the game is just so much fun. So those are my thoughts on Biomutant. Let me know if you've picked up this game in the comment section down below. I do have a link in the description box if you want to click that and check it out to get more information on the game. I think I did a pretty solid job of, explaining everything, but check out that link in the description box down below because it lets them know that people are watching this video. And give me your thoughts, man. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. A huge thank you to THQ Nordic for sponsoring this video today. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.